Okay, so we got context of the person's lives, and we got the content of the faith, and that's going on. And yet the walk doesn't stop there. We're not just about appealing to hearts. We're not just about appealing to head. There is more to go. The walk doesn't stop there. This Emmaus walk is the first a presentation of Jesus' story, and it's given by Jesus himself. It's the first Christian witness, and it's given by Christ himself. The story doesn't stop there. Jesus now is responding back to them and giving them the context of the story. And when that kind of, comes to fruition and comes to the fullness of the conversation, at that moment, along that way, at that point, the disciples are done. I mean, they've experienced a lot, and they're done, and they say, we need to take a break. And Jesus says, oh, okay, I'm going to continue on. And the disciples say, no, stay with us. Continue to be with us. There's something here that we want to continue to hold on to. There's something here we want to continue to understand. And so Jesus does stay. And Jesus comes together with them, and they come to the table, and they break bread, and they share wine. And at some point in that experience, these disciples who were heartbroken, who had experiences of heartburn, now feel enheartened. Enheartened. I often look at the word encourage. Encourage is a French root word for heart. These guys were encouraged and heartened. Their whole experience is now really changed and really revived. And it is because of that experience of communion. They not only have experienced the context of their lives, the content of the faith, but now they're experiencing the communion, the intimacy of being together. Okay, now they're starting to recognize the stranger who is Jesus is actually Jesus. And this impacts not their hearts, not their heads, but their feet. It impacts their feet. They are figuring out now where their feet are planted. Where is home for them? What is it they're about? They've now gotten identity, and I know where I stand. That's the changeover in the Emmaus story, is that these guys now have had their feet impacted. And they know where they stand, and they know which direction they're going to be walking in. At that moment, when these guys have been enheartened, when they've experienced communion, when their feet have been impacted, Jesus, the risen Jesus, leaves their presence. He leaves their presence. And now things have changed significantly for them. These guys who were on the road from Jerusalem to Emmaus have suddenly, and were ready to call quits for the day, have suddenly changed course, and now they are on the road from Emmaus back to Jerusalem. Because they know they've got to be able to bring the message home. They've got a message, and they've got to bring it home. These guys will describe themselves no longer being heartbroken, no longer experiencing heartburn. They have now been enheartened, and so much so they describe themselves as having burning hearts. Are not our hearts burning within us? These guys are ready to enter into the conspiracy of faith. They've gotten the context of their lives addressed. They've received the content of the message. They've experienced communion, and now they're ready to enter into the conspiracy of faith. Here's another word root: conspiracy. Con with spire, breath. These guys are now in the same breath of where we are as church. The Spirit has breathed into them, and they are now ready to go into with the breath of the Lord and to share new messages. Their hearts have been touched, their heads have been impacted, their feet know where they are and are now motivated, and they are ready to apply the faith with their hands. They're ready to get into the mix, and they're ready to engage. That's why I invite you to encourage to think about, in terms of adolescent catechesis: head, heart, feet, and hands. Context, content, communion, and conspire. Doesn't all have to be in that order, but I think we've got to take a look at looking at those 4 different categories of faith. This is a short video. In terms of the actual message, you've got a much longer PDF. You don't need it, but it's available for you to continue to read if you want to explore these topics a little bit more. Again, thank you for walking with young people to various different events, walking with young people in faith, walking with young people like the Master did with his disciples. God bless you in your ministry.